stabbed the guy. And I heard the whole thing. Oh, geez. And he said it's not like this kind of building at all. I mean, you can see the saw. Yeah. No, he did not know. He was in the house like a couple of days and they evicted all of them.
You almost wonder if they have to disclose that it was a stabbing.
I don't know. In the background.
Yeah.
I missed the first part of that. I just heard stabbing.
I think you only have to ask. What, April? I mean, she heard the people around you have to ask. I think it was April. Can you hear us? Hi, ladies.
Connecting to audio through her headphones, but hi everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
She looks like she's texting.
Did she talk to her? Oh, I hate Zoom. It's convenient, but I'm over it. I think a lot of people are.
Oh yeah. Can you hear us, Izzy?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
Yes, I heard that.
Perfect. We got one more speaker joining us.
Are you all eating breakfast? What's for breakfast?
Donuts.
Oh, nice.
We don't have a big breakfast crowd here, so lots of coffee.
Yes, I hear ya. You guys are all together early, so.
I told Lisa we needed orange juice so we could have mimosas, but we got coffee.
If everyone were drinking mimosas, it would be pretty hard for Reagan and I to control the room. Being virtual.
And
Being
to
virtual
refrain.
and mimosa-less, yeah.
You've hung out with us a time or two.
Yeah. You guys are a fun time, I remember. I'm surprised you're not drinking mimosas, honestly.
It's Tuesday. Check back tomorrow, maybe.
Well, I think we're just waiting on Robert, so we'll hold off just for a minute, let everybody refresh their coffee and.
I'm gonna take that opportunity to do the same. I'll be right back.
We might have to pass that box of donuts around, you guys. Come on. Robert yesterday, so he's.
Now look at that sun blaze.
It's crazy.
This morning is just
Nice
looked
red.
like a harvest.
Yeah.
moon.
It is just crazy. It's a really cool color.
Would span 7 to 8 to hold it.
What's that area? I know.
Just a
I'm
single.
looking down, look at the sun.
Yeah. 7. Yeah.
See if you downloaded that calculator guy from the fair told us to get. See you there. That's the trust guy from.
He's my trust guy.
You know, he busted out that trust calculator. He's got the app on his phone. He's just like, yeah, just download this thing. Didn't even know it existed. My trust guy now too.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's good.
I was with another guy.
Should I kind of just start recording? All right, I think we'll get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. I am Candace Mickey with Black Hills Federal. I am your membership chair here at the local level as well as the state level. I get to serve on Izzy's committee at the national level, so love membership. It's the driving force of our association. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're excited to offer this class with membership recruiting tips, plus some unique sales and marketing techniques for your jobs for selling. And this is going to be very informal, so we'll go ahead and ask questions throughout this session. These two ladies on our screen have a lot of information. I see we have Robert joining us now.
Good morning.
Good morning, Robert. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Just to continue on, our fall membership drive contest is open to our fall membership this year. The contest starts on Monday, September 21st. Teams are going to be announced this Thursday at 4 o'clock at the Ramcota for our membership meeting that we're having there. So at 4 o'clock Thursday, we will be unveiling our houses, our teams. So since you're joining us today or watching it online later, if you recruit at least one member in the drive, your name will go into the drawing for one of 10 chances to win $100 cash. We'll draw those names at our membership drive wrap-up party, which will be held on Tuesday, October 13th at 4 o'clock at Craven. So you need not be present to win. So, but we really want you to be there. So, the theme this year is our Game of Thrones, as many of you have seen in our newsletter and on your table in front of you. I gotta say, I'm very impressed with our membership drive, with our houses. I think we did a great job. It was awesome.
We love your membership drive flyer.
Yes, isn't that? I love the houses. It's awesome.
Annette did that for the record.
Yes. Kudos. Kudos. It's awesome. So, again, Game of Thrones, before you leave today, make sure that you grab a list of prospective members along with some membership recruiting tips. Lisa sends out emails over the next couple weeks doing some different prizes to take part in this. We have over $2,000 in prizes to give out. So please watch your emails for these different challenges that she'll throw out at us to get some new members in. So before we introduce our guest speakers today, we're going to introduce ourselves, and we'll just go around the room, starting with Mr. Hefner. If you'll just tell us your name and your company and how you're involved.
Jordan Hefner with Hefner Construction. I'm a pretty new member. I've only been a member for about 6 months, so I'm just getting back involved.
You're not new to these.
Yeah.
Born and raised in this association, so.
I'm Corey Gelman, Gelman Construction, also kind of born and raised in the association, third generation builder. So yeah, I don't know how long I've been a member, but very active in the home builders.
Kelly, that's Scott Lumber. I've been a member for a few years, a couple years. Lisa's got in quite a few committees already.
And he's on the board.
And the board.
Corey Wheaton, I'm with First Premier Bank. I've been with the association for three years now, and I'm a member primarily.
Marcia Myers with Connect Electric, has been in my own company, been a member for at least 4 or 5 years, actively starting the last 6 months.
Connie Davis.
I can only see a body and not so much a head.
He didn't listen to her instructions. He was listening to her front.
I've been a member for 8-9 years, and just throwing us out there 2 times, despite the year. Just throwing it out there.
So he doesn't need it. He probably teaches us.
No.
Chris Draft, steward title. I'm not sure how many years I've been a member of involved in a few different committees.
I'm Christine Williams, and I'm with Mollenders. I do business development and marketing for them. I've been here for 7 months, 8 months. I'm on a couple different committees, just one show.
And everybody knows Lisa, and you guys know me, so we can move on. But we have a lot of board members here, a lot of new members here, so I'm really loving the mix that we have. Engaging our members is really the key. So I love that we have a lot of young people pushing this drive and getting involved. So thank you so much for being here. All right, let's introduce our guest speakers today. Mr. S. Robert August. He is a professional marketing, management, and sales strategist from Denver, Colorado. He's a fellow HBA member. He is a senior life director with NHB. He is the top membership recruiter within NHB with over 4,000 spikes. Just a reminder, recruiters get 1 credit for each new member they sign up and a half a credit each time that member renews. So to put that into perspective, when you see his numbers of over 4,000, that's a lot of new members. We also have with us Isabel. She is the Director of Marketing and Growth and Development. She's awesome to work with. And we have Reagan Van Cleve, our membership field rep from NHB. She's our region. She actually was out in the hills with us last year and helped bring in our leadership group last year from the state. So welcome back to us. So from there, Reagan, I'm going to give it to you to kind of take us from here.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit as I'm pulling up the screen. Just don't mind the smoke and mirrors over here. So as Candy said, I am the membership field specialist at NAHB. So you guys probably know me from coming to Deadwood last November before all of this happened, and I got to meet a few of you. So my role is kind of similar. I'm still serving as your Regency field representative, so don't ever hesitate to reach out to me with any questions that you have. But I have taken a specialized role in membership since quarantine started. So this is what that looks like. What I do is exactly what we're doing today. I help HBAs with their recruitment and their retention goals, and that most of the time includes membership drives. So that's what we'll be talking about today, to steal my thunder. And again, thank you so much to Isabel and S. Robert for joining me today. I put their information here on the screen. So going back, actually, one thing we wanted you guys to do, and some of you might have pens, some of you might came pinless, maybe you just type it on your cell phone, but we wanted you to write down one word that best describes the value you get from the HBA. So I'll give you just a few moments here. I know you might have like 5 words, but let's just try to do 1 for the purpose of this exercise. And I'll write down 1 too, why not? Okay, and once you write it, you can share it with the person next to you, keep it to yourself, text it to your wife or husband, whatever you need to do. So while you guys are writing that down, or maybe you might be done, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the recruitment life cycle. But before I did, I wanted to ask you a question. And that's why you're here. And I don't mean like here on earth. That's a whole different type of question. But just here in this room this morning, coming here at 7:30 in the morning, I have a lot of questions. But what I'm getting at here is, what does it mean to be a part of membership, or why should you be a part of membership? So often we go through the motions, we go through the slides, and we don't talk about the why behind it. So a lot of people, when it comes to membership, think, I'm a dues paying member, I come, I show up to things, isn't that enough? Why do I have to be a part of membership? Why isn't that enough? Simply because we rely on our members to have that peer-to-peer recruitment, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about identifying prospects, So you serve as good ambassadors to your committee or to your organization rather than the people on the payroll. But another thing is because of why associations exist in the first place. So I heard that there's a couple people in the room who said that they grew up in the association, they're third generation members. And that's exactly why we're here today, because associations were created because one person said, we're stronger together. Without the few, the many could not be strong. And without the many, the few could not be heard. So that's why we're going to talk about membership drives and sales and recruitment and all of that. So on the slide here, we have the recruitment life cycle. So I would like for you guys to kind of consider recruitment to be a life cycle instead of maybe more of a linear process. So we're going to be talking about understanding how successful recruitment happens within an association. Before you talk to anyone about membership, it's important that you know your product. Consider this to be your association's value proposition or your secret sauce. What does it mean to be a member of the Home Builders Association? And how does the benefits and services the association offers help to either grow your business, save you time and money, or accomplish your goals? And then once you have something to sell, it's a matter of knowing who to sell it to. So in the next slide, we'll be talking about how you can use your circle of influence to find prospective members. There are many ways to identify prospects and generate lead lists using lapsed member lists, home show attendee lists, membership directories, and so on. One tip to remember here is always to capitalize on opportunities to warm your leads. No one likes cold calling. If anyone in this room likes cold calling, I want you to raise your hand. Send them a mailer, email, or even text them before you start with your pitch. So when you're going out into your membership drive and you're calling on these people, it shouldn't be the first time they're hearing from you. And that's for their benefit and for your benefit. Because like I said, no one likes cold calling. And we'll certainly spend some time giving you some key tips on helping to craft your pitch and what to do when a prospective member says no once you make the ask. Finally, it's important to understand that in order to grow, you must recruit and retain members, which is why as soon as a prospective member decides to join, getting them involved in their first few months of membership will be the key to their retention. All right, so this, as you can see on the slide, I was talking about our circle of influence. Looks more like a bullseye. You can think of it like a bullseye. So what we have here is a circle of influence that spans from the center. Those are going to be the people you have the most influence over. And then it goes out each layer till we get to accidents. So obviously you have a lot of influence over your friends and family. You can see that there's people in the association who have family within the association or a different generation of their business. So talking to these people, talking to them about membership is going to be very easy because you have, a good relationship with them. You can leverage that relationship. Next, out of that circle, it's going to be associates and subcontractors, people you're already doing business with. You already have that professional relationship and that trust. So when you go and you talk about the association and the value that it can provide to them, they will believe in you as an ambassador of the association. The third one here is joiners of organizations. And I think people kind of find this interesting because a lot of people don't ask someone to join if they're a member of the chamber or if they're a member of, something else that might be similar to the Home Builders Association, because they're afraid that they're going to be like, well, I'm already a member here, so I can't really be a member here. That sometimes is the case, don't get me wrong, but I also want you guys to consider a study that ASAE, which is like the Association for Associations and conducts research for associations, did, and they found that people who were members of other organizations or other associations were 5 to 6 times more likely to join another association. Like I said, sometimes the biggest hurdle is getting people to understand and adopt the association model. So once someone is a part of that, they believe in the cause, they're motivated by purpose, it's very easy for them to also see how your benefits and services might benefit them. And then the last few here, acquaintances and accidents. So that accident circle is super important because a lot of times, especially during membership drives, people tend to focus on these accidents and they spend so much time here And the problem is sometimes is that it's that very outer layer of your circle of influence. You don't have a lot of influence over those people. So what is an accident? An accident would be like you're driving down the road, eating a McDonald's French fry, and you look up at a stoplight and you notice that there's a truck next to you that says B&B Construction. And you're like, wait a second, I don't know this person. I'm gonna write down their telephone number and then I'm gonna call them and ask them for membership. Well, that could go a couple different ways, but you know, they're getting a call from a stranger. You don't have any influence over them. It's going to make it that much harder, which is why I'm going to kind of actually pivot over to S. Robert at this point and ask him how he might be able to tap into those outer layers of this circle of influence, since he's a very skilled recruiter.
As someone who likes cold calling.
I saw him raise his hand.
Maybe repeat the question for him.
Oh, okay. S. Robert, I asked, in this circle of influence, these outer layers of like acquaintances and accidents or people you don't know very well, what advice do you have to lend to kind of maybe start that conversation with them and get them to say yes to membership?
Well, thank you very much. I think that the question's a great question. You're going to find that there's endless opportunities for all of you to really make a difference with the acquaintances and the accidents. Some people will say, well, gee, I don't have that many prospects. It's very, very simple to Google other trade associations. For example, earlier when we went through introductions, the first two participants that we heard from, George and Corey, for example, you're builders. Can you imagine it takes so many different trades and subcontractors, vendors to build one home. So in essence, all of these vendors typically have their own specific trade associations. So if, as Reagan pointed out, if you're willing to join one, you can join another. So it's as easy as picking up your phone and screaming into it, or even talking into it, and just basically say construction trade associations. And out of that, you'll find window and door trade associations. You'll find flooring contracting trade associations. And it goes on and on and on. So in essence, you're going to have opportunities just to pick up a lot of folks that you already know that belong to those trade associations and cross over into yours. For example, typically in a state capital, you will have anywhere between 250 and 1,000 trade associations that belong. And you'll find that there's other trade association members that they do a one-off. You would never expect to see some of these people. So it's a lot of opportunity to gravitate to these organizations. The other point too is that you're going to find not only within, these are the easiest ones to go after. There's mortgage banking associations, bankers associations. Every bank, anyone who lends money should be involved with the Home Builders Association. Anybody that provides a mortgage should be involved. So all of these direct opportunities are there. And guess what? They all have friends. There's a term called a sphere of influence. And when I meet you today, George or Corey, I'm having the opportunity to meet 400 of your friends, your neighbors, all of these points that Reagan has so aptly said. So you can even create an opportunity to grow your programs from all of these folks, because your friends, your neighbors, all of these people that can be members can jump up and do it. The other thing that I would share with you quickly through the acquaintances and accidents, a lot of times people will often get ready to retire, and they find out very quickly that they never should have retired. And in doing so, they can get reaffiliated with their companies and also become active. All these people that we're speaking about are people that I've engaged, even from cold calling, and found that even just asking if they're not interested right now, everybody has this sphere of influence that Reagan so aptly explained, and they all have friends and associates and acquaintances that frankly should become members. So always ask for referrals when you're on your calls. You're earning the right away to ask for that referral and make a difference right now. Thank you, Reagan.
Yeah, thank you. And we put a resource in the chat box, but I know you guys might not be able to access that. So we'll make sure that we pull that a little bit later for you. But some other places that you can definitely utilize on just generating some quick and easy leads. You can use your lapsed member list. So I remember there was a joke earlier that someone had been a member before or something. A third of all new members are actually returning members. So you can use your lapsed member list to kind of recapture those people and get them to rejoin the HBA and re-fall in love with membership. You can use IBS, International Builder Show non-member lists. Certainly we could pull those for you if that was something that you would want to try. And then you can use your Spike Rolodex, something that we have on the website, which Isabel put into the chat feature. When we were talking about associates and subcontractors, this kind of plays into that. And it's a long list of different type of business categories that you can go in and fill out, you know, based on your last project or people you just might know who might be in plumbing or roofing or awnings or, you know, whatever. And it breaks it down so you can put that person in there. And then finally, your membership category, your membership directory. If there's any missing categories, you guys are a very large association, so I could assume that might be a little bit difficult. But if there is any missing categories or categories that don't have as many people or businesses as others, that might be an opportunity for you to reach out to people within that industry, within that category to say, hey, you know, we get consumer referrals all the time. Right now, we only have 2 to 3 people under interior design. So I think if you were to join our association, you would have, you know, a lot of exclusive rights to businesses, things of that nature. So enough about identifying prospects. I'll hand it over to Isabel to talk to you guys a little bit about making the ask.
Thank you, Reagan. Before we get into this, I do have a question for Tommy in the back of the room. Did we hear that you are a 2-time top recruiter at the HBA? Was that correct?
Did I say that?
Yeah. And so based on this sphere of influence that Reagan and S. Robert talked to us about, for you, which category do you find the most success in? Where is the easiest place for you to go to recruit?
So my successes in the past is I'm kind of going to agree with Robert is I'm not afraid to make cold calls. So I would just block out some time of my day and I would just call people that I don't even know and just start a conversation. That's
a skill, yeah. Awesome. So for those of you in the room who might be nervous to cold call, it sounds like tapping into that accidents outer layer is a good source for leads for both S. Robert and your top recruiter, Tommy. So maybe you need to get some tips from them after the session as well. So making the ask. This is probably the most anticipated step, asking someone to join the HBA now. You get them on the phone, you have a conversation, maybe you learn about their business, you hear about their challenges. You don't just hang up. Now it's time for them to put the money down. You need to clearly let them know that you are asking them to join the HBA now. If you get kind of a verbal, yeah, I want to join, thanks for calling, I'm going to get to it later, the odds are they're not going to get to it because we're all busy, life happens, it's very easy to get distracted. Maybe they go to the website, they can't find the application. So it's really important to make the ask, get them to say yes, and then take them through the next steps of joining the HBA, making payment, and doing it now. And one reason that making the ask clearly and directly is important, people tend not to join if they were never asked. So say you spend 20 minutes on the phone, you have a great conversation, you're starting to build a relationship, but then did you close the sale? Well, did you ever ask them if they want to join the HBA? So if you're putting in all this time and effort and connecting with a prospect, you want to make sure that you are clearly asking them to join. There was an HBA drive in Texas at a small local, a few years ago, and they ended up growing by 125 new members in just 1 month. And so they had no idea that their market had that potential, that there were even that many new members out there in the community. And so they asked all of the new members, you know, why did you join? What happened? What put you off the fence and got you to join now? And the majority of the new members said, you never asked me to join. Nobody ever reached out. I never knew you wanted me. So creating that culture of inclusivity and, you know, cold calling those accidents, asking people that you work with day to day, those subs on your job site that maybe you've never asked to join before, making the ask to those audiences and actually making it is really important. But with that, you know, we don't want any bulldozers. We don't want any arm twisting necessarily. You've really got to consider who it is that you're talking to. Is it a builder? Is it an associate? Because those conversations are going to look different. You want to curate your membership conversation based on the question, what's in it for me? What is important to a builder member is not going to be the same as an associate member. Someone who's joining early on in their career are probably looking for something different than someone who's been in business for 20 years. You want to remember that this conversation is about them and how membership can help them achieve their goals. So when I say, you know, no arm twisting or don't be a bulldozer, what that really means is we want your interaction with a prospect to be a membership conversation. So on the slide, I learned this quote when I was traveling, delivering some membership presentations. An NAHB member actually told it to me, and it stuck with me. If you want people to care about what you know, you first have to show that you care. So, you know, you could call someone and you could read from a script all the benefits that your HBA has. You can tell them how long you've been a member and how many committees you've sat on, and then ask if they want to join. That's one way to do it. But the way that we're recommending you do it is to have a membership conversation. You are calling them as a peer, and we know that peer-to-peer recruitment is the most effective. So ask questions about the prospect's business. Ask them how they're doing given the unique circumstances of 2020. Once you uncover some of their challenges, you can then use your knowledge of the HBA benefits and services to match that prospect's challenges or questions with HBA opportunities and HBA solutions. So this approach requires active listening, and it also requires relationship building, but I think it's more fun for everyone involved. You've got some solid recruiters in the midst today with F. Robert and Tommy and others who have been involved at your HBA in membership for a long time. But you know, some of you might be nervous. Maybe this is the first time you're participating in a drive. There's a lot to think about. You have to know your product. You have to listen. Then you have to think of the answer. So I'll give you some questions that you might want to start the conversation with, some ways to show that you care. And as I read through these questions, put yourself in the prospect's shoes and think about the difference in the conversation and how that feels. What does it mean to talk, like that you as the HBA member, someone who's very busy, who's on the board, who's running a business, and who's also, you know, on the membership committee, what does it mean to that prospect that you've taken the time to ask them these questions and learn about their business and try to offer HBA solutions? So here are some questions. I see on your website that you do X. Can you please tell me a little bit more about your business? How long have you been running your business in the area? Do you know X? Did you know X has been a member here for years? And the point of that question is just to identify any connections that you may have together, even if it's just a LinkedIn connection, but like you really want to leverage your relationships and start to create a rapport with the prospect you're talking to. Given what you know about the association, what do you think we can do for you? And that's a great question because you're able to identify any misconceptions about the HBA, and you can kind of jump on it and correct any misunderstandings that they may have about your HBA. What are you most excited about for your business in the next couple of years? What are the top 3 challenges that you are currently facing? What is holding you back from reaching your goals? And it's important to note that this conversation isn't just for them, it's for you and your HBA as well. In terms of retention, it's really important to recruit quality members who are going to benefit from the HBA. If you ask them, what do you think we can do for you? And they ask for something that's totally not in your HBA's realm of responsibility, it's important to understand those expectations and manage it before you sell them membership. Maybe you ask that question and you learn that they really aren't a good fit for the HBA. That's okay. That happens. And by focusing on quality recruits, by focusing on your ideal member, you're going to be kind of one step closer to growing because you're securing retention and you're securing that base of membership. And another way that this can benefit you is that maybe in conversation with this prospect, you kind of identify that there's a business opportunity there for you. So by reaching out to this person, establishing a relationship and kind of being their HBA steward that gets them to join and gets them out to their first event, you're really creating trust and creating a relationship that could benefit you and your business in the future should they join. And next, we're going to talk about 10 additional tips when you are talking to these prospects.
Yes. So Isabel gave a lot of, sorry.
If I can just share a couple of quick points. One of the key things that before you ever get on the phone, and I want to emphasize this very thoroughly, when you make a cold call, you need to get the history of those individuals beforehand. You may ask the questions that Izzy brought up, which are excellent questions, but you need to do your research. You need to do your homework before you pick up the phone and call. The other thing that's, excuse me, that's extremely critical, some of you may say, well, I want to send an email first. I want to send a letter first. That's okay. But after you've sent that email, you've got to follow up within 24 hours because the effectiveness of that email will go away if you're not on the phone. The other thing is that after you've made that call and you've made that ask, and somebody may say, I want to think about it. I want you to write down these words. When somebody says to you, I want to think about it, I want you to use the 2 words, I understand. I want you to write down the word, I understand. They think that you're going to let them go. The point there is that I understand. This is a big decision. That's how you're going to respond. And then what you're going to ask is, what is it that you need to think about? What is it that you need to understand? That way, it helps you define what those objections are. And when you can define those objections, it's going to make it easier for you. Then you take the most challenging or difficult objection. You answer that objection. You take it from the old Benjamin Franklin close, the T-square, the pro, the con. You take it from that negative side, you answer that, and you move that, now it becomes a positive. And you go all the way down to the least concern. And once you have identified all of the objections and you've moved them from the right to the left side, they're ready to join. It seems to me that we've answered all of your concerns. We've answered all of your objections. Now, hopefully you'll realize it's time to become a member and take advantage of all the benefits that we've been discussing. And it helps you mitigate concerns and move forward. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, it's not just selling that one person. It's selling their company. It's selling all the employees. It's getting everyone in that company involved. So many times we have, as Izzy and Reagan have shared, we'll get to that one person. We want to get to the person, ladies and gentlemen, who is the decision maker. Not just an interloper, not just somebody who's going through the motions. We want to find out who that decision maker is in the company, because that's going to make a difference. When we can get to the person who can make the decision, we can also move more quickly through the concerns and have the opportunity to close the transaction today. You're going to say to me, well, what's the longest it's taken you to close one membership? I will tell you, it's about 6 years. It's, you know, I mean, it's just a question of staying in touch with these people. There's always a reason to call. The other thing that happens too is that when you identify yourself as a volunteer of the membership committee, you know, of the Sioux Empire Home Builders Association, what's going to happen is that they realize that you're volunteering. And that when you're taking your time to volunteer, most people will understand that, will want to talk to you. You know, I know if I ask this question, you know, how many of you have ever called and left a message on voicemail? Well, leave that message instead of just saying, hi, it's Robert August. I'm calling today to, you know, to share some information with you, you know, and membership information. Leave 3 or 4 bullet points that Izzy and Reagan have shared with you today. Because you've done your research, you know why they should be joining, or at least hope to know why they should be joining. And as a result, you know, I feel, and share with them, I feel so engaged with the association, and share several things that it's done for you, that it's also accomplished for your company and for other friends and associates and acquaintances that you have. Share those bullet points. There may be advocacy. There may be education. There may be networking. There may be the other benefits that you're enjoying from HBA rebates and from the NEHB companies, alliance partners that can provide tremendous financial savings. So by knowing all of these things, it's going to add value. But again, it's not just about that one person. It's about everybody within that company. And I just wanted to take a couple of moments to share that with you. As we jump into Izzy's and Reagan's next 10 points, there's one thing I would like you to add that's number 11. It's probably my most important item that I want to share with you that's not on this list. I want you, excuse me, I want you to take a mirror. You can get a small mirror for $1, $2, or a reflective piece of glass. Put it next to your phone. Where it says start with a smile, don't start with a smile until you've engaged and you've looked into that mirror and you see that fantastic smile. You see that wonderful smile. When you're showing your teeth in that smile, you're completely eliminating your fear. And by eliminating your fear, you'll become much more prepared. And the other thing that we also spoke about is preparing your speech, preparing your elevator speech and your bullet points. You need to practice. You need to role play. The role play is the hardest sales pitch you will ever make. And it's turning to the left and turning to the right and selling that participant that's in that room today and or tomorrow and next week, or even doing it on the phone and practicing. The more you practice, the more successful you will be. You'll be able to overcome your concerns, your objections, and you'll be very, very smooth and relaxed. And what the trigger is that when you look into that mirror and you see a smiling face, it's showtime. And I will share this with you. As Bugs Bunny once shared with me, overture curtain lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing or nursing our parts. On with the show, this is it. Da-da-da-da-da. The point is, it's showtime. Get ready, be ready, and execute. And now we have the next 10 tips for you to use while you're talking to your prospects.
Thank you, Robert. I think that was the perfect lead up to these 10 kind of cliff notes that Isabel and I will go over, and then we'll actually move to objections. So thank you for almost volunteering yourself, Robert, for maybe helping me to role play one of these objections so everyone can see exactly what you're talking about. So without further ado, we do want to give you 10 tips when talking to prospects. I'll go through the first 5, then I'll hand it over to Isabel to get through the last 5, so you don't have to listen to my voice for that long. But good recruitment is done by the right people asking the right prospects and sharing realistic and honest expectations. Most importantly, as Robert said, your first impression with a prospective member will set the tone for their entire membership if they decide to join, right? So these are our 10 tips on how to make that conversation easy and effortless, and in turn will help secure them as a new member for your association. So As Robert said, maybe putting a mirror next to your computer if you're doing a video call, or your phone, wherever you're going to be making your call, can be super helpful with this first hint. And I know it sounds simple, but so often it's forgotten. And that is starting with a smile. So your voice sounds brighter and more confident. You feel more confident. People can tell you're smiling through the phone. So just as an example, I'll cover my face. See if you can tell if I'm smiling. So, hi, this is Reagan calling from the Home Builders Association of Sioux Empire. And then, hi, this is Reagan calling from the Home Builders Association of Sioux Empire. Obviously, the smile that came first just made me sound more bright, more cheerful. Attitudes are contagious. When you're happy, someone else is happy. Have you ever seen someone yawn and then you yawn? It's kind of like that. So starting with a smile is going to be super important. Isabel talked about, making sure that you know who you're talking to. You definitely want to do your homework, see if there's any research that you can figure out. Have they been a member in the past? Are they a builder or associate member? That's a really important question to ask, right? Because the value proposition to a builder member is different than to an associate member. Associate members, are definitely focused on growing their business and relationships and networking. Builders might be more interested in some of your advocacy wins. You need to make sure that you are keen on those talking points and know who you're talking to before you do. Having an idea of how membership will benefit. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Reagan, how much money does a member save just through advocacy for their company, being a member company?
This year, we clocked it at right over $6,000 per housing start.
So one membership, just one membership that a company joins, they will save how much again?
Over $6,000.
Thank you very much, Reagan.
So that's definitely a way, and in our next 5 tips, we'll talk a little bit about statistics and maybe how you might give a couple numbers to get people's attention. But certainly, again, knowing who you're talking to, making it that point of showing that you care. When you say someone's name, we try our best when we're in these, when you guys are doing your introductions, we want to make sure that we know your name. So if we talk to you, I'm calling you, Tony, not Toby. That just makes you feel a little bit better, right? Third, we want to leverage our relationships. Mention during your outreach if you have ever met before, even if it's just a LinkedIn connection. I know we're in 2020, that seems a little weird, but I oftentimes have met people and I'm like, I don't know you, but I think we're friends on Facebook, or I think I congratulated on your work anniversary last year or something. That's just the times we're living in, people. It's really hard with families and everyone to go out and meet a lot of people. So don't be afraid to mention any sort of tie that you might have with them, even if you just know them through the grapevine. Name any HBA members they may already know. This is something that's super important. Has anyone ever knocked on your door for a security system and said, hey, I do work, or I just installed a security system in your neighbor's house? That tactic is important, right? They want you to know that someone, close to you in proximity or someone you trust is also, trusting of that organization or of that company to do business with them. So definitely leverage any relationships that you have. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's important too. Sociologists have taught us that when you use somebody's name, when you're first meeting them or calling them, even if you haven't visited with them in a while, it's helpful to use their name every third sentence or so. And what it does, it relaxes the people that you're calling because psychologically they're hearing their name. And when they hear their name, it's the sweetest sound that they've ever heard. And what it does is it completely relaxes them. So as Reagan is smiling right now, she gets it. And she's so relaxed and engaged that she's going to participate. Another thing that's totally important about repeating the name is that you're not only relaxing them, but they're becoming very comfortable with you. And these are psychological points and sociological points that will win you over when you're talking to these individuals. And you're not talking down to them, you're talking to them. And you're making them feel very relaxed and at ease. Thank you, Reagan.
Yeah, you guys didn't know you guys were getting a psychology lesson today, but you are. Knowing your product, actually Isabel just shared that dollar amount value for any HB's advocacy wins. That's a part of knowing your product. knowing what you're selling. You have to be knowledgeable about all the benefits and services that your HBA offers, not just the ones that you like, right? Because the reason why you joined, the benefits that you like might not be the benefits or the value that somebody else sees, because they, you know, builder, associate, clear distinction, but just them personally might have a different agenda. So it's important that you kind of make sure that you know all about any recent advocacy wins, discount programs, because people might be looking to save money, any upcoming events where people can network and meet other people. That's again where those questions are going to come into play. You'll know what you need to sell to them when you ask questions about their business, when you ask questions about their self. It won't seem cheesy or hokey. It'll feel like a conversation, and that'll be better for both parties involved. The fifth one here, before I hand it over to Isabel, is personal testimony. You're recruiting for a reason. You believe in your HBA and you believe in its value. Why is that? You know, I asked you guys first thing this morning, why are you here? What inspired you to get out of bed at this ungodly hour and show up at your HBA's office to learn more about recruitment? Have a concise story that you can share with the prospect that shows how you and your business have positively benefited as a result of the HBA. Use your story to help inspire others. I always say this, I'm going to say it every presentation I give because it's so true. Facts tell, stories sell. Use your story to sell membership, because you being so, you know, enthralled with membership and you having buy-in is going to help get buy-in from somebody else. So I'll hand it over to Isabel.
And before we do that, I think I would like to share with the testimony and with the story. When you take the time to convey that testimony, it will become much more powerful. And please write this down. You need to integrate the full name of the party who's providing that testimony. In other words, if you're speaking and you're talking about Bobby August, and Bobby August has shared with you this reason why they joined, you know, or they had the company join, you want to say Robert August, Bobby August from North Star Synergies joined because of the following reason. You want to give first and last name. You want to use that name, you know, and that company's name that's in the local environment from which you recruited. When Izzy was kind enough to share the story today and use that story as an example of the 125 companies that joined, mostly which joined because nobody ever asked them, it would even be greater and more convincing if you said what the name of that HBA is in Texas. It would be even more convincing when you talk about the equivalent of that party with the Lisa Otmar. You know, it would be even more better or most bestest when you can then take the name of one of those individuals who joined and shared with you and said, of the 57 that told us this, can you imagine there was George Gonzalez, Steve Ciccinelli, Barry Feinstein. All of those names add value and credibility. And as we lead into the number six, these statistics and this information become very, very, very saleable. And I think you need, if you haven't written down Reagan's excellent words, facts tell and stories sell, it is so critical. It's that simple. It's that simple as you prepare your elevator speeches and your sales presentations, because what Izzy and what Reagan are sharing with you today are the salient points of not only enhancing the membership aspect, but every one of you will increase your business by 10% just using these tips and facts and stories that Izzy and Reagan are sharing with you today, which is another benefit directly to you, because you'll be able to take this information and apply it today, not in 2 weeks, not in a month, but right now to make a difference with you and your team. And I would take the time after you've learned all this information that Reagan and Izzy have to share with you and set up a training session internally within your own company and ask those folks to help you as well with membership, recruitment, and retention. Thanks so much. And now we jump into item number 6 with Izzy Shockett.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Robert. That was perfect. You're calling as a peer. Peer-to-peer recruitment is the most effective. And when you tell your story, that's going to resonate with them because maybe they can see themselves and their business in you and your story. But you don't just want to resonate. You've got to substantiate. So, telling your success story is great, but at the same time, you're bought in. You're a volunteer. You're a committee member. You're the HBA president. You've been a member for years. So the statistics are going to be where you can share evidence of the value of membership. You can include numbers. You can include facts. You can include all of these parts that really substantiate your story. And that's how you're going to differentiate yourself from the rest of the competitors, from the other associations in your area, from the other membership organizations. The HBA is the only residential housing industry trade association with the most professional network of tradesmen, craftsmen in the area because X. Here's my story. Here's how we're saving $6,140 per housing start this year. And, no other group in the area is doing that. So thank you for introducing number 6, S. Robert. That was great. 7, listen. I think we've really driven this point home already. You want to understand what the prospect is looking for. It's very likely that your HBA can meet their needs and more, but if for some reason your HBA cannot, you want to be able to know that up front before you make the sale and end up with an unhappy customer. So you want to actively listen, which means you're listening to understand. You're not just listening to reply. And I think S. Robert hit on this point, number 8, be sensitive, early on, when he was saying, I understand. Everyone has their unique story and brings something different to the table. The recent pandemic has implications to many of us, and not all of them are apparent. So you don't want to make assumptions. You want to be really sensitive. We have no idea how this individual may have experienced something recently that's impacting their ability to join. So make sure you're showing empathy, be sensitive, tell them, I understand. And if it's getting a bit, I don't want to say contentious, but for lack of a better word, if the join now conversation, they're really saying that they need to think about it or their business is not in a good place, be sensitive, respond with, I understand. And guess what? Our HBA isn't going anywhere. So take some time and, get yourself going again, and I'll reach out in 6 months. So you're planting the seed, even though you didn't make the sale now, like Robert said, 6 years later, it may be the time.
Excuse me.
9, yes.
Thanks. I'd like to add this. When you say I understand, it doesn't mean that you agree. It does not mean that you disagree. It means that you're paying attention. And paying attention in the sales process is extremely important. One of the other, one of the other points that we need to emphasize is your eye contact. And as Reagan showed and as Izzy is showing, as they talk into the camera this morning, the same way that you're talking, you need to stay focused and looking into that camera if you're using, a computer and creating a Zoom meeting with these folks. We haven't talked about a Zoom meeting, and we haven't talked about meeting in person. And I'm going to share with you, sometimes people are so busy, and one of the ways that I have found that it's easier for me to close is getting into their office, sitting down with them on their comfortable ground. And by being able to take the time and go to the office, usually you're going to be in some part of the city or area that you can stop by an office. And that's going to have a very big impact, because as a volunteer, as you're taking your time, it's going to make a difference. When you do that, or when you're on Zoom and you can start to take notes, that's also extremely powerful, because it says to the buyer, and these are buyers that you're selling the membership to, it says that you're paying attention to me as a potential prospective buyer. So these are other points that can add value to you as you start to think about how am I going to make the presentation so that it's comfortable for me. And when I'm comfortable with all these points that Reagan and Izzy are sharing, I'm going to do a better job of closing more retention opportunities as well as recruitment opportunities. Thank you very much, Izzy.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So say that, you know, you've had a great conversation. HBA membership is a great fit for them. You've created a rapport. Now it's time to collect payment. So like I said earlier, you don't want to hang up without them having taken the next step to join, because the odds are you're going to lose them. So if possible, while you are on the phone, collect payment over the phone, collect payment at the instant that they have agreed to join. And you want to make it as easy as possible. Remove all excuses that they have to not join and pay right now. If they need to write a check, why don't you offer to go pick it up? Don't leave any opportunity for the sale to be delayed or the ball dropped. So you may want to talk about, as an HBA, whether you have a short form application we see some HBAs do during a drive, just asking for the most basic information from applicants so that the application process is faster. That way a recruiter could potentially fill the application out on behalf of the prospect while they're on the phone together. You know, if you don't have credit card processing in place, that may be something you want to consider. You can use .org/join. But the point is that you want to make those next steps to pay and get started as easy as possible. And that leads to number 10. People want to know what comes next. Okay, they've joined, they've paid. Tell them exactly what to do. Get them on your website, register them for the next event, email the HBA staffer an e-introduction for that prospect, ask them to meet you for coffee. You want to think about what is the most important thing for them to do now that they are a member, and then be sure to spell that out for them so they can take the next step. And that's going to be key for retention as well.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think that, you know, one of the other things that, you know, they say, well, you know, I'd rather not give you my credit card. And what, you know, and you might say, well, then let's get Lisa on the phone right now. Let's get that party from the association who can take that credit card information like Lisa. You know, so don't wait and have Lisa call them. You know, just try to bridge Lisa into that call right away so that Lisa can take that number. And if the customer says, gee, you know, I would really just like to give this to Lisa, you still can create that bridge, you know, and while you're doing it, they'll become relaxed and they'll realize that you're not there to take their credit card, you know, and you're bringing in, it's called a higher authority, and that higher authority will relax the party and letting them know. And when you share it, they may not know Lisa. And so you might say, Lisa has been with the organization for how many years? For 14 years. You know, and has been a tried and true participant, a tried and true officer of the organization. And I'm so excited that you're interested in meeting Lisa today. Let's get Lisa on the phone, and then you just do it. You just do it. And as a result, they will follow.
You made it sound.
And I was just going to say, you know your community the best, so you know what steps are going to make the most sense for the prospects that you're talking to. We're just pointing out that this is a critical moment in collecting the payment, how you collect it. I mean, there are even some HBAs that if the party was nervous about sharing their credit card information over the phone or online, the recruiter actually paid for that individual, and then the individual paid them back later. Not recommending that, but it's just a logistic you definitely want to think through of how you can get people's credit cards and get them to pay now and signed up before it's too late. Yeah, and now let's do a little role play.
Yeah, before you jump into the role play, I did want to share, it's important. When you talk about the transfer to Lisa, you also want to use those third-party testimonials. So in other words, just the other day, I was talking to Reagan Van Cleve of Shockett Flooring, and we had the same conversation. And Reagan was a little concerned about, you know, conveying the information, the credit card information. And when I had shared with her, not only was I able to accomplish that, previously, I told her 6 companies that I had just done that with. And it was very, very helpful for Reagan then to give us the information. On another point, I too have used money and said, you know, I know how important this association is to you. And I know that your controller is not in the office right now for what you've shared. I'm willing right now to convey my credit card to Lisa, you know, and have you join immediately. Let's fill out, finish completing the application. I'll use my credit card, send you an invoice, and I'll come by and pick up a check. And it's worked many, many times because that convincement factor that I believe in the organization that much is going to make a big difference to bringing that customer over and making that customer a full-fledged member.
Yeah, I think what we're hitting on here is that when we're talking about these steps and we're going through all these kind of tips and tricks to getting someone to say yes, that sometimes when people say yes, we get such a high, we heel click in the air and we forget to close the sale. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So whatever you guys want to work out as an HBA of how to collect that payment is completely up to you or what the prospect's comfortable with. But just don't forget that a member is not a member until they're a paid member. So make sure that we are closing the sale. For the last kind of part here, I want to give time for the next slide for you guys to share your word and us to get to know, you know, what is resonating with you guys in terms of value. And that one word that we had you guys put together in the beginning. But I did promise a little bit of role play, and I don't try to disappoint on that. So we'll just do one of these, but we will send to Lisa and Julie a list of 10 of the most common objections that you might get in recruiting. But for the purpose of today and for the sake of time, we'll just do one. And again, you know, yes is great. We love hearing yes, and that's when we heel click in the air and we get so excited. But there's always a possibility that someone could say no. And you might get a no, you might get 2, you might get 5. It's okay. Don't dwell on it. Don't get discouraged. You can take the temperature on somebody and know if someone's no is an absolute no, dead stop in the water, or if they might just need a little bit more convincing. They might have a miscommunication about your association's value. This is your time to reinforce your value. This is your time to move the needle for them. So I want to talk, and I'll ask Robert to kind of role play this with me, because I think this is probably definitely one of the biggest objections right now that everyone's back to work, and that, you know, people have a misconception about the time commitments of your association membership. So Robert, if you don't mind, would you like to role play this I don't have time objection?
Sure.
Okay. I'll be the recruiter, if that's okay. And then you be the prospect. So I'll kind of just jump into it, assuming that I've already, you know, called you, it rang 5 times and you picked up the phone. And, you know, I'm asking you a little bit about your business. You tell me that one of the things that you're looking forward to is you want to expand, you want to grow, you want to have more locations other than just the one that you have there in Colorado. You might want to expand to a more national reach. I tell you a little bit about, you know, well, we are a 3-in-1 membership and we have a national association. We have 650 local chapters across the federation, a huge circle of influence that we carry within this federation, and that this is a perfectly ripe opportunity for you to grow your business if you would want to. I tell you about a little bit of our networking opportunities. You then tell me.
Reagan, I think that what you're sharing is fantastic. Frankly, I have so much business now, and I'm trying to figure out how I can expand. Yet at the same time, our crews are working full time, some overtime, and we're just trying to make sure that we deliver excellence rather than mediocrity.
Right. I totally understand you. You know, honestly, one of the reasons why I joined the association was because I also don't have time. I'm super busy. And, you know, getting to meetings and stuff was hard for me. But when the coronavirus pandemic hit, I was grateful that construction was deemed an essential business. But I really didn't understand what that meant in order to get my people back onto the job site. So luckily, our national association, as I was telling you about, provided a safety plan that I easily customized to fit my needs. And I was able to actually get my employees safely back out onto the job sites without falling behind on projects. I didn't have time, I didn't have time to do the extra research to hire someone else when my employees fell sick. They put out information like this all the time that you can trust. So I'd like to ask you, what problems are taking up your time? The HBA helps me to get things done efficiently and I rely on them. I wonder if they could possibly help you too.
Do you have educational programs that will teach me how to manage my employees better so that they can be more efficient? And do you also have programs that can help me scale my business upwards so that it's not just doing business for the sake of doing business, but learning how to make more money with each sale that we're able to create?
Yes, absolutely. Education is one of our pillars of membership. We understand that it's so important for you to be a credible person within your industry and, be the sharpest tool in the shed, right? So we have tons and tons of education opportunities that fit your timing needs. We have on-demand courses, online webinars, things that you can download and watch at your own convenience. Of course, you're going to be able to get these education courses at a member rate when you join onto our association. So we have one actually coming up. It's going to talk a little bit about, stimulus packages and what you should be looking for if they do try to enact that. That was a lie. That's not something we have.
So you have programs about hiring and firing, and you have programs about, as I shared, scaling. I recently had an issue as it relates to an entitlement process with one of our customers. And we were slowed down because the customer could not achieve entitlement. How do you work through advocacy to benefit the membership so that I'm not the one who's doing the legal battle, but the association is able to help me and all other companies similar to me as well?
I hear you. I understand. This is something that a lot of our, current members, that was the reason why they joined, was because they were dealing with some of the same issues. And at the national level, of course, you can probably imagine we're the 7th most powerful organization in Washington, D.C. So we have a huge, advocacy arm within our National Housing Center in DC, and people who are dedicated to fighting to make sure that housing is as safe and affordable as it possibly can be, and that you can continue to work. In terms of legal, we do have a legal department, people who work specifically on making sure that disputes are heard, that, our members are correctly represented, and getting all the information that they need, even if it means just writing an amicus brief for them. I think the biggest thing that you're not going to find anywhere else is just the community and the size of this federation and how much, people believe in the cause. Again, we have 650 local associations, 140,000 members that span from Hawaii all the way over to the East Coast and up to Alaska. Anything that you're possibly dealing with, someone within that federation should be able to answer for you if our 250 staff members at the National Association or the 10 staff members at Sioux Empire couldn't answer for you.
I really appreciate your help today. I belong to another association, the South Dakota Contractors Association, and they have membership benefits that are discounts. What type of programs do you have that can compete with that Contractors Association?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely have tons of discounts that take place at not only the national level, but the local and state level as well. In fact, here in South Dakota, we actually just implemented a new health insurance program that's going to be able to help you save money on your premiums. This is something new for us, and we're hoping it's going to be able to help people access affordable health care within our state, and certainly being a part of this federation. Of course, at the national level, you have everything from discounts to help your business through printing at Office Depot, or even personal through Ticket Monster if you're planning a big trip to Disney World once it opens up at full capacity with your family. We definitely have, enough discounts where you shouldn't be paying full price for anything, but certainly things that are going to help you within your business, such as our Lowe's for Pros discount, something that you might need when you're going to buy materials for your job site. Certainly all of these discounts are going to work towards negating your dues. And there's several programs that I would love to talk to you about that might actually just not only negate your dues, but actually bring money into your pocket. So if you agree to sign up to for membership today, I would love to sit down with you and maybe chat and have coffee and talk a lot about some of these programs that are really, really great. So what do you say?
Well, I have one other question.
Of course.
It seems that with all the time that you're spending today, I'd like to further make sure that I can use these benefits that you're talking about for my employees. So the way that I'm doing it with the Contractors Association, would these benefits be able to be used by all of my employees? So it's like me giving them a raise.
There are some benefits that do apply to your company, and then there's some that would require just, you know, for yourself, because it requires a login for some of these things. Your state association and your local association might have different parameters regarding some of their discounts and whether that follows their company. But for the most part, a lot of our discount programs are going to benefit your company, even if there's only one representative tied to it. So if you have, you know, one Office Depot laminated card that's going to save you tons and tons of money on printing, certainly someone else within your company could use that discount code or use that card. And if they, you know, get such a taste for membership that they would want to maybe even be a member of their own, we do have an affiliate member program as well, where for just a smaller fee, they can be a part of the association and get all the same benefits tied to their primary representative in the association.
Gee, what time is good for you to meet today? At 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock?
2 o'clock works for me. As soon as I can meet with you, that would be perfect for me, and we can sit down and fill out this membership application. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. I'm looking forward to meeting with you at 2 o'clock today. My office is located at 4920 Algonquin Circle, and we'll look forward to seeing you at 2 o'clock today.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Woo! Thank you, Robert.
Wow, what a sale. What a sale. Thank you all for that role play. We are just over the hour, so we want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to cut this activity, but just to keep you all thinking, consider the word that you wrote down at the beginning of today's session. What role does that word play in the way that you make the membership ask? Reflect on how you can tell your story to someone else in a way that resonates with them, offering substance, like a concrete example of how being a member brought on new clients, or a dollar value of savings you see back in your pocket. This is how you will differentiate your HBA from other membership organizations. The cost of membership does not matter when the perceived value is high. What is it that you get out of the HBA that keeps you paying your dues year after year? As an HBA ambassador, how can you be authentic in sharing your membership story to help someone else see the value? So if you are so moved, as Robert suggested, maybe you can practice with the people in the room, use your word, reflect on the value that you get from the HBA, and give each other, you know, a call over the next week or so before you kind of get out there in the heat of all of your recruitment. And we wanted to give you all an opportunity to ask questions, but since we are out of time, I'm going to invite you to any question that you have. You can either provide to Lisa, and Lisa can send to us to answer, or here's our contact information. Reagan, if you want to just throw that slide up. Here's how you can reach all three of us. So if you want to call us or email us directly with your question, we are happy to talk through any of this with you. Thank you all for your time. And Reagan or Robert, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I appreciate the opportunity to work with Reagan and with you today, Izzy. And Lisa, thank you very much. I would also share with you the best phone number to reach me is area code 303 601-5840. And frankly, when you have the need, I would be happy to make calls with you. I would be happy to role play with you. All you have to do is call. I do have time. I believe in the membership of what we're doing throughout the country. And I would like to share with you that we are expanding internationally every day through the association and adding membership, whether it's from Nigeria or South Africa and Australia. And we're opening up new spheres of influence for our manufacturer members and our builders that are interested in building in other markets around the world. So we actually have builder members from Australia coming to the United States, and we have builders going to countries like Poland. So it's a new world, new opportunities, and I would encourage you to take your notes that you've made today, review those with Lisa before you leave. Use those notes, train your own sales team, and have your team work with you. One thing additionally, any salesperson in your company that's not participating with you and your membership team, I would encourage them to help you increase your prospects and help you further close more sales. It's been a pleasure being here. Don't hesitate. I would not offer for you to reach out to me unless I'm willing to help you. You've got a great association. Lisa, thanks again for affording Reagan, Izzy, and me to be here today, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Again, please use our contact information to reach out with any questions that you have. Thank you so much just for taking the time to come to this meeting today and listen to what we have to say and be there on behalf of your association. I'll leave you with this quote and then we'll kind of part ways here. Just as we're doing this membership drive in a very unlikely time in our country, just remember that smooth seas didn't make for a skillful sailor, and we're all in this together. So thank you guys very much, and please feel free to contact us if you need anything.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it, guys. One last thing for our online watchers. We did tell you you would be eligible for the drawing. So if you're watching, hopefully you watched all the way through, because the password is going to be Iron Throne. So you'll have to give the password if you want to be eligible for the drawing if you watch this online. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. So hope to talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Lisa. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.